What's up, YouTube Omega Dudes? Episode number 14. Got some fun things to talk about. We got Gina Carano getting thrown under the bus, which is really, really stupid. Speaking of stupid, we got a lot of stories of stupid people for you and mental health issues because of all this COVID stuff. Got some personal experiences that. Everything after the intro. Stick with us. Thanks for sticking around through the intro. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. We're going to take a second to talk about that because it doesn't take much time for you guys to do so. I know you watch random videos on YouTube all day and who wants to subscribe to stuff, but it actually helps the channel out a decent bit. So if you could please right now, if you're signed in, just go click subscribe. Just going to take a second. Just go ahead and click it for us because it is going to help us out. Another thing that really works for the algorithm is commenting. So go ahead and just throw anything down in the comments. I don't care if it's a few words about how much you hate our faces. That will work for us. But suggestions on show topics, that works just as well. Like, hit the little notification bell, all that jazz, but subscribe, please. What's up, guys?
It's a very simple process. You know,
Yes.
I mean, really, so, like the video, hit the bell to subscribe, and I forgot the last part, but you heard, just rewind it and listen to Chris's thing and then do it. Just do it.
Just like that. It's a subscribe button and then hit the bell, but good enough. There's this, you guys could figure it out. I know you can. I believe
there's
in you.
a bell
I always
there.
have.
You guys are probably smarter than I am though. So, I mean, cause you found us and you like us and everything. Moving on.
Yeah. How's everybody's week been?
My
It's
week's
cold.
been pretty good. It is cold and rainy where I am. Like it's like 3 degrees above freezing. So we're not getting sleet. We're not getting snow. It doesn't quite freeze for some reason, but it's just wet and rainy and like 37 degrees, 36 degrees.
It's 18 degrees outside.
Wow.
I'm in Texas now. First, they had that big accident or whatever a couple of days ago. But in Fort Worth, but like Texans don't do well on ice. So like it gets cold, roads get icy, everything shuts down.
Yeah.
Everything.
That was
Schools
actually
are closed. Everything's done. We're supposed to have like blizzard-like conditions here tomorrow.
That's what you were
for
saying.
the next day and a half.
Really quick about that Fort Worth thing, though. That was a crazy. If you guys haven't seen that video, all of our subscribers out there, go check it out. Crazy, man. When that semi. That is one of my biggest fears being on the interstate is coming to a sudden stop. I'm always on my mirrors when that happens because I am so afraid of not just a semi, anybody not slowing down because they're on their phone, whatever,
133 people just weren't paying attention.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw some of them sliding,
Yeah, that's not necessarily the case, man.
Yes, it is. Because like I just said, when it's icy out, it's not like every outlet and person around you doesn't let you know that, hey, it's going to be icy tomorrow. Be careful, this, that, and the other. So it's coming. Why in the hell are you doing 95 up the interstate?
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I had I was on the way to a really bad car wreck one time when I was in EMS, and it was cold and wet one morning. Didn't really pay attention to you always see the signs, bridge, ices before road or whatever. And you don't really think about that. And I'm originally a Florida boy. I was living in a northern state. Working in EMS. And so this was my first real wake up call about ice on the road. We were on the way to this call and it was a bad wreck. So we were all, adrenaline's pumping. We were all excited about getting down there and whatever. And so we were really going. And my buddy who lived in that state his entire life, he was like, he starts slowing down. I'm like, dude, let's get up there. What are you doing? You're parking? He's like, no, dude, we're getting on this bridge. And the wreck, of course, was on the bridge. And I mean, bro, we're in an ambulance with it's a, dual wheel rear end.
And when you're coming up
rear end,
coming up to slick road like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but he's doing like 20, 25 miles an hour. And he's like, whoa. And I'm like, dude, just get up there. It's fine. And he starts tapping the brake and we started sliding. And that's with 6 wheels and a freaking ambulance, the weight of an ambulance coming down on it. And I mean, we slid about 10 feet and almost went at like 20 miles an hour and almost went into the back of the fire truck that was there. And that guy said that he slid too. So like, you really, I mean, I don't know the conditions there, if it was on a bridge or if it was, I don't think.
What it looks like from the video is that it was actually like the slowdown was after the crest of like an overpass or something. I could be wrong about, but it looked like they were just coming over the hills. So, right. So they were driving kind of a normal speed, maybe even for the conditions, but then all of a sudden it's like, you got to stop now. And most people are going to hit their brakes pretty hard, which is
right. And when you got to stop now, whether you're doing 20 miles an hour or 50 or 100, the stop now is the problem. Mm-hmm. That's the real problem.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of times with this stuff, it's either on a bridge where when they see that, oh, shoot, I need to stop, or it's coming over a rise or a blind curve. That's the most dangerous one. So like, I don't know the situation there. Granted, the scariest thing that you can see from day to day is just like sit in the passenger seat of your car on a busy interstate or like during rush hour and just look at people driving as they pass you, as you pass them. Just look at them and see all the people on their phones.
It's terrible.
So I definitely, Chaz, I'm with you on that, dude. It's probably the case with a lot of people.
Sure.
A lot of that, at least. I mean, there was a whole lot of stupid out there, and you'd be shocked how many people, at least around here, are talking manslaughter charges for some of these people.
Yeah.
Just because.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating seeing everybody on their phone.
Yeah. And I always thought that, something, I don't know why, or if this is something that is admissible in court, but I've always thought that like the first thing that they should do when there's like, a car wreck where there's fault involved is subpoena the phone records and find out if they were sending text messages or if they were like on the internet at that moment of the wreck, because there's obviously the passenger could have been on Facebook and not the driver, or the passenger could have been sending a text, but there's definitely situations where that would come in handy. And, they should start charging people with stuff like that. I don't know if that was the case here.
Well, I remember,
but it's crazy.
When we all lived in Florida, there was this really bad tanker accident, and where it ran a tanker off an overpass and it exploded under a bridge. But it was a teenager that was texting while driving.
Yep.
But that 17-year-old kid got like 10, 15 years in prison because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine it's probably something that's hard to prove beyond reasonable doubt. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing people don't understand. So I did get into an accident one time because of a phone, and it wasn't that I was sitting on my phone. I was at a stoplight. There was a truck in front of me, and there, I guess, a elderly person in a car in front of them. Well, the light turned green. Everyone starts moving. As soon as I start to go, a buddy texted or called or something, and all I did was just go like that really quick to see like who was calling. It was sitting on my seat next to me, and in that split second, the older person had decided that they didn't want to go straight; they wanted to turn, so they slammed on their brakes. The truck stopped, and I rear-ended the truck just that quick, and that's how So if you're driving, just staring, I see people for 4, 5, 10 seconds looking at their phone. Come on, guys, you gotta stop. That's ridiculous.
It's true.
Speaking of stopping, let's get off that topic. Our hearts go out to everybody that was injured or was taken, whose lives were taken from that wreck, because that was horrible.
It was.
Yeah,
but
pretty rough.
While before we get too far off of everything, I do want to bring up something from last episode. with the whole Marilyn Manson abuse thing and all that.
Sure.
And it's like, going back watching things, it's like I may have sounded a little harsh on a few things. So I don't want. It's like, look, I'm an asshole. I know that, but I'm not cold-hearted. All I was saying was it's not everything was adding up, but I did continue digging, and I did find a couple cases where one of the ex-girlfriends, where he was chasing around the house with an axe, where the story was actually corroborated with people that worked in his house. And it's just like, okay, that I could legitimately get. But did you know something I didn't know until yesterday, that Evan Rachel Wood and one of the other girlfriends that were testifying to Congress, because I didn't know why they were talking to the California Congress. I didn't get that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They were working to pass a bill to extend this the statute of limitations an additional 5 years in the state of California.
Okay.
So now on what? On what?
On domestic
sexual
charges. Domestic charges, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, all that stuff. And so now here we are. Marilyn Manson lives in California. Women lived in California at the time. If there's a lawsuit, it's going to happen in the state of California. Marilyn Manson can actually go to prison for this.
What is the statute? Do you know what the statute of limitations is currently for that stuff off the top of your head?
It was 7 years from what I know.
7 years.
And they extended it an additional 5. So that puts it at 12 years. So that puts it back to 2009, which is at that time he was still with Evan Rachel Wood. One of the other girls, I forget her name, but she was in Game of Thrones.
Here's my other thought. And this was something that I was just kind of like ruminating on our conversation last week. And there were a few points that I was like, man, I wish I would have thought about that during the show. Isn't that always the way? Especially when someone says some snide comment or something rude to you during when you're at the store and you're just like,
oh man, that would have got him if I said that.
15 minutes later, you're just you're driving home. You're like, oh man, if I could go back in time, I would have said that. But this isn't quite like that. But one of the things that, I was thinking about this week was this. I was like, why didn't I think of this before? Really? I mean, if you just talk about I'm not going to try and attribute motive or anything like that. But if we're talking about motives and stuff, there's some things that don't really make sense, at least on the line of Evan Rachel Wood.
Okay.
She doesn't need Marilyn Manson's money. I mean, she might just be a jilted or a scorned lover that wants to get back at him, and that's definitely possible. But he's not even on her radar anymore. He's just he's kind of like a washed up has been 90s and early aughts metal guy, and she is the star of arguably the most popular TV show on HBO.
Yeah, no, that's true.
She's kind of, if she was going, she's got to be she probably made more money last year on Westworld than he made the entire decade of the I think
probably.
Really what it comes down to,
she's really punching down.
The thing that not really bothers me, but the thing I think that it's something that should be kept in mind and watched out for is the whole trial by media, because that just happens too often, where all it takes is one accusation and then everybody jumps all over a person and it can ruin their life. And it might not even be a true accusation. And I'm not saying that this isn't or anything isn't or is, but people are so quick that with social media and everything, people are so quick to jump on a person before there's any proof of anything. And especially these people on the internet, they're not seeing what the cops see. They're not seeing the police reports or what was said or all the facts, they're just going off of assumptions. And I get that, emotionally it can affect people, and thinking about that, it can bother people, but you just have to wait until all the facts come out. And I mean, we see it with what's her name? Gina. Gina Carano. Like I didn't know too much because I don't follow her specifically. I liked the whole her character in Mandalorian and everything. I know Parrish has the hots for her. Yep. That's one of those exception.
No, I appreciate her as a great fighter and a wonderful actress. Okay.
That's one of those.
I'm a married man.
Those exception things that you have with your wife, where if like it ever came up with this person,
she's on his list.
It's a pass. Yeah. But I didn't realize
she's on her list. I think
people had been attacking her on social media for a long time. I didn't realize that. Really? Yeah. I had no idea. I'd watched, I can't remember. It was a YouTube video that was talking about, because I didn't know everything about what had happened with her, the tweets and getting dropped by Disney and all that stuff. But yeah, apparently they've been attacking her for a while, I guess, just because she has some conservative ideas or just sees, believes things that are contrary to what the mainstream is. I don't know exactly. I did see her tweets, and I don't really get the offended thing. And that's with having Jewish, ancestry. So I don't know, but that's another thing. Just people jumping to conclusions. I don't know.
Well, and I and speaking of even like, I don't think that it's the mainstream. Okay, how many people do you? I don't think it's a mainstream. I think that there are a few people with very large, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So there's a very few people in this nation with very loud voices and very annoying Gilbert Gottfried-like voices and megaphones, and they make these things. They're making these things happen, and they're going door to door, which they're with their pitchforks and their pitchforks and their
torches.
Torches. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Lit torches and pitchforks and saying, "What are your pronouns? You need to tell everybody what they are, and you need to abide by this and that." And like, well, I don't really. I mean, that's not really a thing for me. I don't really care about. Well, okay. Well, then you're canceled.
And what was the tweet about? Wasn't it just like it was like a Star Wars joke, like a droid thing, like my pronouns are beep boop, something like it's to me it came off as like an R2D2 reference. I don't know if that's what it was, but that's how it struck me.
Well, there were demands being made on her from I don't know who. I don't know if it was her bosses or from
her management company.
People on it could have been management company, it could have been people from, I kind of get the sense that it was demands from people on social media that, oh, you have this spotlight, and so it's more important for you to adhere to what we say, essentially. Mm-hmm. And that is to put your pronouns on your profile. And she was like, well, finally, like, okay, fine, you want my pronouns on my profile? Beep, bop, boop.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's getting to the point where it's kind of getting scary. And the whole point that she had, I won't say the political group that she mentioned and was talking about in that tweet, but the whole point she made about it wasn't the government and that party so much. It was neighbors in the streets that were attacking the people of that certain faith that she was talking about. That's the truth. And though we're not even close to that now, the fact that it even kind of, there's like that feeling, it just has that same sort of feeling, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing. And I think it's a valid point. I think it's something that people really do need to reflect on, like, hey, this is what happened then. A lot of people got really psyched up about things and took things way too far. And a lot of them were scared. A lot of them were just, psyched into it, followers. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. Like, everybody really needs to think.
Ultimately, it's people were reading way too much into something that she said, because it's not like she was pointing out and depicting specific individuals or political parties or anything, saying you're causing this and you're doing this. It's just, no, it was a general statement about this is where she feels we are as a country. Okay, good for you. But you know, it's
not necessarily an unhappy. I mean, even though she got dropped from The Mandalorian, which sucks because I liked her character. What Harris, you were talking about some new opportunities that are coming her way.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So this might end up a happy ending for Gina, which good on her. I mean, she's a hard worker and she's a very tough woman, obviously. Yes. And so she's been in talks. I don't know. I mean, obviously this happened very recently. So I'm not sure how deep they've gone into it, but she's already in talks about a movie deal with the Daily Wire, which is
Ben Shapiro, right?
Yeah, Ben Shapiro. So one of the things that Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire are pushing towards is this notion that I think is correct, that politics is downstream from culture. And that's the line that they use a lot. It was a thing from the late Andrew Breitbart kind of coined that. And it's true. A lot of the politics we see today are downstream from culture. I think a lot of the things that these college kids who are, really, college age kids that don't know anything about the world, haven't lived any kind of life, are out of the house. They've been out of the house for 5 minutes, and they think that they know everything and they have all the answers because it's fashion. And a lot of the things I think that are going on today societally, with people who don't really care about the things that they supposedly care about, is because it's fashion. Yeah. And so that's where, you have cultural changes and cultural influences, and that affects politics down the stream. And so one of the things that Daily Wire is doing is really putting a lot of money into movie and TV and movie production. And so they have dramatic things coming out, and they're working with her now.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I was going to sneeze for a second. Has the Daily Wire produced anything yet, or is this just their planning?
No, they've actually put out their first movie that looks freaking amazing. I haven't seen it yet, and it's like next on my list.
What's it called?
It's called Run, Hide, Fight, I believe. And it's just really, really well done from what I can tell. Thomas Jane stars in it. And then it has a young lady. I don't know her name. I've never seen her before, but it's about a school shooter. Mm-hmm. And it follows a girl as she's basically Die Hard in a school shooting setting. She hides. She has her daddy brought her up right. She grew up around guns and self-defense and self-reliance. And she uses those skills that she was brought up with to survive and look out for her fellow man or her fellow classmates. And
I'll have to check that out. Yeah. I'm curious.
It looks really, really well done. And I think that there's a lot of different, it looks like a great movie on a lot of different levels. So anyway, I think that it's probably going to be a positive and a win for Gina, and she's not going to have to sacrifice her philosophy and her values and her life for the sake of getting work. And I've already canceled my Disney Plus membership because I don't want to give any money to a company that abides by that kind of crap. And I highly suggest anybody else do the same.
Was that there was a lot of backlash about this? Like a lot of people calling
# cancel Disney Plus.
Yes, yeah, about all this. Like it's kind of I'm not saying that's blowing up in their face and is going to be like some sort of final nail in a coffin by any means, but just the amount of backlash shows that there's a lot of people that don't necessarily agree with this. That vocal minority that you were talking about earlier that you see overwhelmingly on social media, not necessarily representative of the whole. So we'll see. I hope they deserve every bit of backlash that they get for that, in my opinion. That's just what I've seen about her tweets. I haven't seen anything that was what I consider that offensive, but hopefully we'll see.
And the thing is, these days, if you want to hurt a company like Disney, I mean, they're hemorrhaging money from the theme parks. They're not really making movies. Yeah, they've got a lot of different lines of income, but I mean, Disney Plus is huge.
But here's the thing, though, is that it's not so much about hurting them, because they're only doing it because, like you said, it's fashionable. And the more they realize that following that mentality might not work out for them in a business sense, the more it might, get away from that, which I think is good. So,
yeah, I agree. Hurt the bottom line. That's the most effective way to let them know what you want and don't want.
Yeah. So, because Disney used to not be like that. Look at all of the animated, movies from back in the day. So we'll see. But
say what's up.
We'll see.
Chaz, what were you saying, buddy?
I don't remember.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh no, I was talking about how you mentioned all the kids that are just in college. They've barely been out of mommy and daddy's house and all that. These are all the people that are quick to jump on the whole trial by media bandwagon, and like with Manson, you've got all these accusations and people have accused him of all this stuff, but haven't really seen or heard of any kind of proof other than a couple women saying, oh, he made me do this and he made me feel this way, and well, now you're getting into a dangerous area here, because it's like, can you be convicted of something like that? And then if so, at what point do you draw the line? At what point does a human being cease being responsible for their own actions and decisions? You know what I mean? It's like, I get they were in a depressed and they had, they may have been in a really bad place mentally.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what friends are for. You need to reach out. You need to do things. They have all these hotlines and stuff people can call for stuff like that. And it's like, I know it's hard for some people, but like, seriously.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I just watched something. I don't know if it just came out on Netflix or not. It might have been out for a little bit, but it was a true crime mini series about Elisa Lam. Have you guys heard about her? The Canadian Chinese girl, student that came and was staying.
I watched that.
Oh, did you? So the whole thing
was really good.
Yeah. So she, to anybody out there who doesn't know, very, very brief synopsis. She's from a kind of conservative Chinese family. She wants to see the world, comes to California, is staying in that hotel, the Seville, I think it's called. It's like in the middle of Skid Row, basically. She didn't know that. She disappears. They find video of her in an elevator just acting really strange. Kind of looks like someone might be like following her or screwing with her. That's the only evidence they have of her being in the hotel. They don't have any evidence of her leaving. A few weeks later, they find her in one of the water reserve like tanks on top of the hotel. And it turns out that she had a mental breakdown, basically. And, from psychological issues, whatever the case may be. And was, they assume, hiding in one of those tanks and then couldn't get herself out and drowned or whatever. But the point was that the web sleuths, and to anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's just like an online community of people that like to try and solve true crimes, mysteries, things like that. They connected through this weird, like, conspiracy mental gymnastics, this Mexican death metal musician, like singer, to Elisa Lam's, disappearance, saying that he murdered her, and he was getting like death threats, like all kind of the social media, the internet, everybody ganged up on him and just were all over him. And he, he was making music videos, making music, like had kind of a little name for himself going, and it ruined him. Like he said, he hasn't made music since.
He tried to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Over that.
Right. And he was completely innocent, not connected at all.
And that's the, you know, and it even went deeper. Even when some people even went further than that. If you remember in this doc, they're talking about people were trying to connect her death with the like they were trying to say that it was a government. It was a government conspiracy to release SARS
or something
in New York City or something like that.
Something weird, because there was a vaccine that was called like Lam Elisa, which is her name, like backwards. Yeah, really strange, but
really weird.
Just to corroborate that whole jumping on the bandwagon and going off of, you know, what you hear online, not going off of the facts, it can ruin people. Like this guy is still suffering, and this was years ago, like 2000, I don't know what, 12 or something. It was a long time ago, and he's still suffering from it.
I think that it's so important to really look at things objectively and step outside of yourself instead of saying, hey, no, you know what? I don't agree with this person on this issue. They said something I don't like. And so I'm going to jump on, I'm going to jump on whatever crazy notion that's out there because it serves my philosophical or religious or political purpose. Mm-hmm. So like when I was watching that doc, like I got into it, and it was funny because, not funny, but it was when they first started showing the shocking, eerie video of her in the elevator, like the minutes before her disappearance or whatever, they have this CC footage of a security camera in the elevator showing her acting weird in there, like hiding from somebody, and her hands doing weird stuff. And they were like, and people are saying, she's communicating with somebody. Oh, there's somebody right outside the elevator doors and stuff. I'm watching it. And I was like, from my, kind of using my medical background, I was like, okay, so this, I'm 90% sure that this is she's either on a psychedelic drug or she's having a psychotic break right now. That's what I'm looking at. And then all these people were saying all this crazy stuff here and there. And I kind of got sucked into it. And then when it came back around to it at the end, I was like, yeah, dude, that I called that like 5 minutes in. We didn't have to have this multi-part series.
Yeah.
I was like, and it was because I was looking at it objectively first, and then kind of got sucked into what about this and what is that and and kind of got sucked into all of the, all of the sensationalism of it.
And especially,
so it's important that we step outside of ourselves and really look at things objectively.
Yeah, especially nowadays, because with the whole COVID situation and people still being either locked down or working remotely, being isolated, a lot of the time that's the only way to interact with people online, and a lot of people buy into it or whatever. And there's actually a huge mental health crisis because of all this COVID thing. Like it really has an effect on people. And I, for one, have experienced some of that. I had my first ever panic attack about 3 months ago. I've never had an issue with anxiety or anything before. I didn't even feel like I was anxious. And I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was dying just out of nowhere. And since then, I've like suffered from anxiety here or there. And I got one of these things. This is a little percussion massager that here, I'll turn it on for you. You can hear what it sounds like. Sounds like something maybe a little bit too adult for YouTube, but it's not. It's just this thing.
That was my first thought.
Yep. All it does is you can see it vibrates in and out about like 8 millimeters or so, and you can use it as like a massage tool, and it is great. You have different little heads for it, whatever. But I've been using this thing because I get like soreness in my chest because I won't even realize it, but I will be holding like my shoulders kind of up and like forward as I'm working. And then I'll think, oh shit, I need to relax. So I'll kind of relax, be like, and then 30 minutes later, same thing, I'm back to it. And I start getting soreness in my chest, and I get that. And then I start thinking about like the panic attack I had, because it was the same kind of feeling, and it just makes things worse. And it's like this just downward spiral.
Cycles.
So yeah. So yesterday I had another one, and it was unrelated to the first one. I thought something else was going on, and then I realized it was a panic attack, and I was able to kind of back myself out of it. But I was like, you know what? I need to stop. I need a break. I've been churning with work. I've been working a ton of hours, lots of responsibility, lots of changes. My routine's all screwed up because I've been working remotely for the most part. I'm not exercising like I used to. I'm not even eating right. There's days that I don't even eat until dinner. I'll start working, think, I'm going to have breakfast, and then wife comes home for lunch, and I'll eat in a little bit. Don't worry about making me something. The next thing I know, I hear her little door alarm thing, and she's home for after work, and I still haven't eaten anything. So I been forcing myself to do that. But yesterday, I also scheduled an appointment because I've kind of been interested in acupuncture for a long time. It's always seemed like something interesting just to check it out. But I was like, you know what? Let's try it. I'm just going to try this out, see what happens. So I go there. She does one thing first that's, I can't remember the acronym, but it has to do with the fascia of your muscles. And for everybody that doesn't know, your muscles, your organs, everything are covered with this like fine web of like cartilage, tendony type stuff. It's kind of hard, kind of pliable, but basically it allows your organs to move but still stay where they're supposed to be. And the way she explained it is that over time, from bad posture, say sitting in your chair just like this all day with your arms forward, your back isn't straight, over time, it can kind of have an effect where your body adapts to that position and then doesn't reset anymore. So now your posture is starting to get more and more screwed up, and you're not coming back from it unless you're stretching or you're really realizing it. So she did this thing to me, and I won't get into the whole thing, but I thought it was stupid at first because she'd at different points in my body, like always opposite sides. So it'd be like behind my head and like under my chin, or like behind my neck and like down by my ribs, or like this way or whatever. And she would just slowly kind of move my body a little bit. And then she'd go back to my feet and she'd press on the balls of my feet as I'm laying on my back just to see how my body's moving. Because when you have that type of pressure on your feet, your body should move in a certain type of way because of all your joints, whatever. But she kept saying, wow, you're really kind of like messed up. Like, are you having a lot of pain in your left side? And I'm like, yeah, most of my pain's kind of on that side, or aches or whatever. And she was doing this to me, and I'm like, this is kind of dumb, kind of silly. After like 5 minutes, I'm like, actually, it feels kind of good. And then did the whole acupuncture thing, which was about what I expected. Didn't really hurt. It was kind of weird, whatever. But I tell you, the night after that, I didn't fall asleep right away. I always have trouble falling asleep in particular. But once I fell asleep, my alarm went off in the morning, and without even thinking, I shut off my alarm, got out of bed, started getting dressed, walked out to make coffee, and thought, holy crap. It usually takes me like 5, 10, 15 minutes just to get out of bed because I'm so miserable, so exhausted in the mornings. And I felt refreshed, like I actually slept. And it's been a long time since that happened. So
wow.
I just wanted to throw that out there that I'm going to try it again. I also want to try a full body like chiropractic thing. So people have told me that works with stress and things like that. But
yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So to everybody out there listening, if you are having issues like that, realize it and do something about it. I regret not doing something about it before now. I'm going to start taking better care of myself and realizing that, because it's not worth it. I was not feeling good, and I don't feel great now, but I feel better than I did. So I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah, dude, that's great. And I see a lot of people like living with, with joint pain, or with, pain, soreness, whatever. And that kind of stuff. And man, I had it bad when I was in EMS. I had a lot of back pain. It was starting to get really bad. And I went and saw a chiropractor and got alignments like 3 days a week for like 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of back down to like once a week or whatever. And man, they changed me, buddy. They changed me big time. It was amazing, the difference. I've never had acupuncture, but I've heard good things. So I'm glad that's working. I hope that you got to keep us updated on it, Chris.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't want to say like, go try this right now, because I don't know. It could be coincidence. It could just be the fact that she was, kind of slightly massaging me, that was what relaxed me. I don't know, but I wasn't expecting much, and I got a lot more than was expected out of it. I have tried chiropractic, but just like I had like a quick adjustment on my neck. It wasn't much, and that was kind of cool because it was like, wow, I feel normal. And I guess before I didn't feel normal, like is kind of nice, but that's my only experience with that.
You think maybe it was something psychological as well?
Could be.
What I mean by that is your bot, you were just relieved that you actually took a step and did something.
Could be
to try and make you. Yeah, because I mean that's a big thing for people. I mean, they call it, what is the world, the placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
Where
they call it the placebo effect. Where it's where just doing something, just getting something, just the relief of being proactive about something is it makes and it works, man. It absolutely works.
Yeah, people don't realize
in
how
EMS,
much
we use the placebo effect all the time.
Yeah, people don't realize how much the mind plays into physical manifestations.
Absolutely. No joke.
There was a really good doc about this a few years back, and there's a lot of pseudoscience and stupid, kind of ridiculous spiritual stuff kind of injected into it, I feel, but it was really interesting, and it kind of broaches this subject. It's called "What the Bleep Do We Know?" You ever heard of that?
I haven't seen it though, so
it was really good. It's definitely worth a watch, and it kind of goes into this and like how your mind really does dictate your health. It's a kind of not a foregone conclusion. I can't think of the word, but it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Sure.
Really.
Kind of
your
like
attitude, your mind about health and stuff.
Right. The power of projection or whatever they call it. Or like
positive thinking. Yeah.
Sure. Yep. So I just want to put it out there that, anybody that is that, and it might not even be because of the COVID thing. It could just be a certain situation in your life, whatever. Recognize it and do something for yourself, because I wasn't. I just kept putting it off because I'm a man. I don't need that stuff. I'll figure it out. I'll adapt. Whatever. I wasn't adapting, and it got to the point where it caught up with me in the denial. So I'm glad I did. Don't wait. Just do something for yourself. But yeah.
Cool.
So Chaz,
the more you know.
Yeah, right.
Now back to the regular stupidity.
It's a regular scheduled program.
Silliness of the show.
And speaking of stupidity, Chaz had a pretty good topic to talk about this week. It's funny that we haven't thought of this before, but yeah, Chaz, why don't you start us out on this topic theory you have?
It's I thought it would be a really fun segment to do, especially everybody's got a couple stories of this. It's the first-hand account of stupid.
Do I ever have some stories?
Real life stories.
I'll start out really quick with a quick one because it's kind of a throwback to what we were talking about. I was driving down the interstate one time in my car, and a person in front of me in the left lane, they kept slowing, like they let off the gas to where they'd slowly drift slower and slower and slower. And right as I was about to pass, they'd speed up, and they kept doing it, So finally I was like, I'm done. I'm going around him in the middle lane. So I start to, and as I'm driving by, I look over, and the guy, I'll get into the position that he was in. He's like this on his phone and slowing down. And then he'd look up and he'd hit the gas and he'd speed up, and then he'd go back down and his car would start slowing down again. And it was like 10 seconds at a time that he's just straight down at his lap, looking at his phone.
Yeah, not
Wouldn't
even
looking see if there was a wall in front of him. So we'll break the ice with that one. You, sir, are stupid.
I had a boss that did that, but I don't know how much I would trust it. But he had he was driving a Chrysler 200 with that adaptive cruise control. So it would speed up, it would slow down. It had lane departure, so it wouldn't change lanes. If somebody slammed on brakes, his car would stop. So like he would legitimately just like get on the interstate, hit cruise, and then he'd be sending text messages and on a video conference and stuff like that.
Depending on the car and the software, because I've been in, there was a Lexus SUV, like hybrid something or another that I was in that had that was pretty good. I also drove in I want to say it was a Toyota Camry, or I can't remember. I don't even think it was a Camry, maybe a Corolla or something, that had not the cruise control where it would stop if there was an obstacle or something, but just the lane departure thing, it would correct. It wouldn't drive by itself, but it would start to correct. And I would kind of take my hands off the steering wheel just to see, no way. I would never trust that thing.
Yeah. So I have a Camry, a late model Camry, and it does have lane departure assist and adaptive cruise control. And the thing about the Toyotas is, at least this, I don't think the Toyota, there's two types of adaptive cruise control. There's the one that I really like that I don't have, and that is that it'll go from stop all the way to stop and go, depending on the cars in front of it. And then there's the kind that I have that I think this is what Toyota's using completely, and that is it cuts out at 30 once it goes under 30 miles an hour. So it's basically just for like cruising on the highway. Amazing. I love it. Absolutely love it. Would never, ever, ever trust that my car is going to drive for me with that technology. That is so stupid and irresponsible. Like, like it's not, it doesn't, and it freaks me out when it corrects me, because it doesn't, like, it jerks. It's not like it's not meant as a self-driving thing. It's meant as if you're drowsy or you're falling asleep and you start to drift, it basically corrects you so you don't immediately die, and then it beeps at you.
I won't even come close to trusting cars like that until every single car on the road is like networked together so they know where every car is. Because you could have some idiot that just pulls into your lane.
Not even that. Perfect. A couple years ago, they had this issue with cars getting hacked and taken over.
That too.
And it was Dodge and Chryslers mainly, and Jeeps.
Yep.
Yeah. But I wanted to.
So what do you guys got for stupid? Right. Let's hear it.
Here's another one. Here's another one. I gave all my kids board designations. So I've got 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and 4 of 4.
Okay.
1 being the oldest, 4 being the youngest. So 2 has this thing. She loves ice cream. She's 11. Okay. She loves ice cream. Just like every day, it's just have some ice cream, have some ice cream, have some ice cream. It used to just whatever. Well, I happened to just like, yeah, fine, go get some ice cream. And I happened to just look up and pay attention to her the other day. She opens the freezer. She gets the ice cream out of the freezer, turns around, walks to the microwave, puts the ice cream in the microwave, and then starts the microwave. I'm like,
dude, I do that.
Yeah. I have questions.
I do that. Yeah. Because when I take it out of the refrigerator or out of the freezer, a lot of the times it's too hard to actually and I'm sitting there struggling, and then like it'll slip and it'll shoot a piece across. So I'll put it in for just like 10 seconds to like soften it up a little bit so I can scoop it.
Well, see, that makes sense. But we're talking ice cream soup.
The whole quart?
So it's just like I joke about her because the other thing
for 2 minutes or something.
Yeah. The other thing that she likes is she loves guacamole, right?
Okay.
So, but she doesn't know what to call it. Hey, Dad, when you're at the store, can you get some avocados so we can have avocado sauce?
Avocado sauce. Hey,
that's
it's
all right.
Descriptive.
Though.
I mean,
sure.
It's more descriptive than guacamole.
I know what she means, right?
Now we have. Now she'll never live it down because it's always. Hey, you want some cream soup? How about some avocado sauce?
I like it. I might start calling it avocado sauce.
I got another
awesome.
quick one, really quick. So anybody who's ever ridden a motorcycle as kind of like a daily driver will understand this. You see the stupidest people on the road. For some reason, it's like a magnet, it just attracts dumb. Okay. So I am at a stoplight on a kind of, 301. You guys know, you guys are from around here.
Yeah.
So I'm on 301. It's like a 2-lane in each direction sort of highway. And I'm turning left. I'm at a light waiting to turn left. Well, a guy's coming the opposite direction. So I was going southbound. This guy's going northbound. The light's red. I'm sitting there and I see this guy. He's not paying attention and he's not slowing down. And I'm like, he's just going to run this light. Well, there's cars that are crossing. So he looks up at the last second. There's cars crossing. He swerves to miss a car. And of course, his car starts sliding. So he tries to correct and overcorrects. His car sliding sideways, goes into the grass median, bounces. Then his wheels dig into the dirt. His car goes all the way up almost. I'm like, it's going to tip. And no, it came back down, slams. And the guy kind of looks around and starts driving away. And it sounded horrible. His
Nice.
car was just effed up. But yeah, he just drives away.
So how come the firsthand accounts of stupid is always on the road? That's scary.
Yeah, right.
So mine is this: a couple months after I moved from Florida to the northern state, very rural mountainous state that I moved to, I had my first experience with the deer. They warned me, like, deer are everywhere. People hit deer all the time. You got to watch the deer at night. One night I'm coming and I'm driving, thankfully, a jacked up F-150 on mud tires.
Yeah, that's thankfully.
Yeah. I got my headlights on. I'm driving a safe speed and everything, but all of a sudden, here comes running off of this hill, jumps off the hill, a gigantic buck. And he comes right, and he kind of like stumbled in front of my car, and I just went boom, just right up over top of him. I think it took out one of my fog lights at the bottom of my bumper. Other than that, zero damage to my truck. But this deer, like this buck, it must have been like a 12-pointer or something, because there's bits of horns freaking everywhere. I killed it instantly.
That is terrifying.
Thankfully. Yeah, it was crazy. And so I pulled over and I go over because I'm like, I'm going to go pull it out of the road or something. It's a giant freaking buck. And here comes a PT Cruiser down the street. I'm flagging. I'm like, waving like, hey, stop.
He's sitting there.
Right? Probably never even saw me.
Yeah.
I got my truck over on the shoulder of the road with the emergency blinkers. And I'm waving at this guy like, stop. And I'm standing like 5 feet from the deer now.
Screw it. Go ahead.
Yelling at this guy. Yeah. And he never even slowed down. And so I was just like, oh man, this is dangerous, whatever. And so I take a couple steps back over to the shoulder, and he never even slowed down, plowed right into that deer, dragged it like 200 yards. And it was like he never even slowed down. I mean, it took out, his bumper was hanging. It took out, there was like bits of undercarriage and stuff. There was bits of undercarriage coming off. His exhaust was dragging, like throwing sparks, and he never even slowed down. So like, that's one stupid. But the other thing is, you're talking about like motorcycles attracting stupid people or idiots, man. Nah, bro. Nothing attracts morons like an ambulance on the way to a call with its lights and sirens going.
I can imagine that. Yep. I can see that.
There was a university in town, a major university. And anytime, I hated working around the university, because anytime we'd go to a call, lights, sirens, air horn, everything's going, blaring. And I got people, and I got students with their like Beats headphones coming across this 3-4 lane road. That's one way. Means there's no traffic coming this way. It's only coming this way. And people are looking that way.
Oh my God. Oh, that is
oncoming
terrible.
Traffic as they're texting, updating their Facebook, looking across the road, like, like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone up like within 10 feet of a student with my lights, my sirens, and my air horn just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, speaking of people that need to be ticketed.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah, horrible. Yeah, I got plenty. You know what? We should make this kind of a semi-regular segment, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we haven't actually gotten canceled yet so far this week. So that's a pretty cool thing. It's probably just because Disney hasn't caught up to us yet. But yeah,
right.
We'll see how much longer we can keep going, because I'm actually enjoying this.